about bread as a gift and bread as a sign. The great story of Jesus feeding the 5,000, it all begins with a gift, a rather humble gift. 5 loaves of barley offered by a little boy to Jesus. Those loaves of barley, they were part of a modest lunch, which I imagine was packed by a loving mother for her precious child. Now, this gift was given and it was received. It was given by the boy to Jesus. And Jesus received the gift and he multiplied it until by God's grace, thousands were able to receive that little lunch. Thousands were able not just to receive the gift, but were able to eat until they were full. I also talked last week about how bread is more than just bread. Bread is also a sign. It comes from the earth and it returns to the earth, and it's a sign of our own frailty, our mortality. It points us to our utter dependence upon the living God. To be human is to need sustenance from beyond oneself. That's a fact that's true, not simply on a biological level, but on a mental, emotional, and spiritual level as well. The real question in 2021, I think, is whether we really believe this to be the case. I mean, after all, it's never a simple thing to admit to oneself that you're a needy creature. It's never a simple thing to hold before you the fragility and the brevity of life. It's never simple to confess that we are not meant to be the top of our worlds. We're meant rather to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of the other. Most importantly, it's never simple to discern the fundamentally paradoxical nature of life. That those of us who lust for power and control and dominance in this world will never have enough. While those of us who quietly pick up our crosses and follow after a risen Savior will find the peace and the joy and the hope that truly sustains. I use that word discern intentionally. I'm convinced that in order for us to flourish as individuals, flourish as a parish community, flourish as a nation, we have to be a people of discernment. We have to be a people who can look around at our world and understand, interpret the significance of everything that we encounter. We have to be people who not simply can interpret the signs that are all around, but also have the patience and the will to seek after those things that truly matter. And this, I think, is getting more and more challenging with each passing year. It's getting easier and easier, I think, to put a Christian gloss on an otherwise secular life. It's getting easier and easier to go to church now and again, or even every Sunday. And yet to lead a life that is otherwise indistinguishable from the broader culture all around. It's getting easier just to miss out on the transformation, the healing, the redemption that Jesus offers our world, even today. That's a good point, I think, to stop and to talk about our gospel passage this morning. This morning, we're in the 6th chapter of John's gospel. And we learned a few moments ago what happens in the hours following the feeding of the 5,000 by Jesus. Once again, the people are out looking for Jesus. But this time, unlike last week, I think the people are skeptical of Jesus, and Jesus is skeptical of them. Jesus doesn't know whether they're really searching for the truth or whether they're perhaps interested in just another meal. So Jesus, knowing their motivations, he encourages them to look beyond the here and the now. He encourages them to understand that life is more than what we can touch or taste or see or hear. In other words, this passage has Jesus saying to the people and to us that if bread is a reminder of our mortality, bread also can be a sign of hope. Bread can be a hint of the enduring life that God offers to anyone who searches for it. Unfortunately, though, the conversation between Jesus and the people, it kind of quickly goes haywire, as is often the case in the Gospels. First the people respond to Jesus and they basically ask, well, what do we have to do in order to get this thing that you're talking about? I know I say this with some regularity, but I think it bears repeating. Friends, not a lot has changed in 2,000 years. It is human instinct to think of life as nothing more than a series of transactions. We say to each other and we say to God, what do I have to do in order to get what I want? We say to God, all right, the details of who I am, the details of who you are, they don't really matter. Just tell me what to do. We think this way, really, because it allows us to feel like we're in control. Or better yet, we think this way because we're scared of not being in control. We always want to know the metric, the scale, the formula for living a happy and blessed life. This is what the people were saying to Jesus 2,000 years ago, and this is what people tell each other and tell to God even this morning. And I love the response from Jesus, right? So Jesus tells the people that the work of God is to believe in him who he has sent. That's it. That's the gospel. Simple as it might seem, the primary work of followers of Jesus is to believe in Jesus. We don't serve and give and offer ourselves to others because we think it's a formula for getting what we want. Rather, we believe in him who God has sent, which then empowers us to serve and give and offer ourselves to others. And that's the only way that it can work. Any other path leads to death. For grace to work, it has to happen inside out, not outside in. Our world runs on cycles of fear and guilt and shame. Our world runs on cycles of performance and failure. And if we think that we were put on this earth to do something to impress God or each other, we will never escape those cycles. But if we can believe in the one that God has sent, we might just find life. We might find life, and we might share it with others. You want to know what the work of God is? believe in the one whom God has sent. So Jesus offers this lovely articulation of the gospel, and well, things don't really get any better, right? People, they respond with, well, how do we know that you're the one that God has sent? Can you give us a sign? I think if we weren't used to this passage, it frankly really ought to shock us. I mean, not even 24 hours has passed since Jesus fed the people. I mean, some of them are still literally digesting their food, right? And they've forgotten that the one that fed them is the one that's standing right before them. They've forgotten what happened, and they demand another sign, yet more evidence. So, as is often the case, right, I think we're tempted to sort of judge the people. I think we have the benefit of hindsight. And before we judge them too harshly, let me put before you that we too can act in just this way. I mean, after all, if you're anything like me, you've received a gift, maybe gift after gift. Maybe you've received mercy after mercy, only to turn around and to demand something more. How often do we look at where we are on a journey only to demand that we be farther along the path? How often do we embrace the gift only to forget about the gift giver? You see, more than just bread, every good thing in our world is meant to act like a sign. Everything true and good and beautiful in our world is meant in the end to point us to the author of truth, the creator of goodness, the exemplar of beauty. And that's what Jesus is trying to say when he talks about the manna. I mean, the people are confused. They think that Moses gave them the manna. And Jesus has to explain, time out, hold on a second. It's actually God who gave you manna. And more than that, manna was supposed to be a sign pointing to me, the one who's going to give life to the world. It's at this point during this interaction between Jesus and the people that Jesus just kind of lays his cards on the table. He cuts to the chase. He says, I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never be hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty. This is the last observation I'll offer to you this morning before I wrap it up. This morning I've been talking a lot about signs. Being able to discern and interpret the signs that are all around. And one important sign that's present in our text this morning that I don't want you to miss is hunger. Hunger is a sign. Our hunger, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual, points us to something beyond itself. I mean, when we're physically hungry, right? It means our bodies require nourishment in order for us to function. And the same thing goes for spiritual hunger. Make no mistake. To be human is to be spiritually hungry. So much of the compulsive energy that we see all around us, the clamoring after success and fame, the anxiety and disappointment that comes when we fail, it's rooted in a profound spiritual hunger. We hunger for meaning. We hunger to know that we're valued. We hunger to know that we're valued for who we are. Simone Biles, the great gymnast who's obviously been in the news, she tweeted something that was just profound, and it kind of shook me to my core. She's been under fire for some of the difficult choices she's made, and she's received a lot of support. And what she tweeted was something to the effect of, I'm beginning to understand that my importance is not rooted in what I accomplish, but in who I am. Friends, if one of the world's most talented athletes can struggle with that, then so can we. There is no accomplishment that we can ever achieve that will fill that hunger within our souls. That's not what we're designed to do or to be. We're hungry for the only bread in this world that will ever truly satisfy. And one of the great challenges of life is putting aside, even on a daily basis, the idols that are all around us and seeking after the bread of life. And so the question for us is whether we're going to listen to the invitation of Jesus. Jesus wants us to seek our life in Him. He wants us to be satisfied, not in what we do, but in who He is. Satisfied not in what we earn, but in the gifts that we receive. Satisfied not in the things that we accomplish, but in the grace that we encounter. May we root ourselves firmly in this grace, in this bread, in this life. May we never be hungry. May we never be thirsty. May we find that which we are looking for. Amen.